What if the world changed overnight? Suddenly, Canadians can't fly to Paris for the weekend, close a deal in London, or see family in Lisbon, all because Canada's visa-free list just disappeared. Airports fall silent at Canada gates. Embassy lines explode. Vacations, studies, and family reunions put on hold. Even Europe's closest friends are turned away. Which countries made the list? And why? Let's count down the 10 European nations Canada will ban from visa-free entry and see how one rule can upend millions of lives. Number 10. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom, land of Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, and centuries of deep ties with Canada. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Canadians cross the Atlantic for London's theatres, Scottish castles, and family reunions. Business, tourism, and education weave the two countries together. But in 2025, everything changes. Canada suddenly slams the door on visa-free entry. The reason? A spike in overstayed visits, mounting political friction, and ongoing disputes over border security and extradition. Officials cite national security concerns and a surge in undocumented work cases. The impact is immediate. British travelers now face long waits at Canadian embassies. Students scramble to secure documents before the semester begins. Families put off long-awaited trips. Airlines cancel flights, and travel agencies report mass cancellations. Social media erupts in disbelief and outrage. For business, the fallout is costly. Major trade delegations are postponed. Conferences are rescheduled or moved online. Investment plans freeze, and experts warn of a chilling effect on the legendary UK-Canada partnership. The images are stark. Empty airport check-in lines for Toronto and Vancouver. Frustrated travelers outside the Canadian High Commission in London. News anchors call it the end of an era. Number 9. France. France, the land of Parisian cafes, the Eiffel Tower, and summer escapes to the Riviera, has always drawn Canadian travelers in search of romance, culture, and history. From French immersion programs to transatlantic business, the bonds run deep. But in 2025, those connections are suddenly tested. Canada announces a ban on visa-free entry for French citizens, the official line, rising cases of overstayed visits and mounting reciprocity tensions. After France tightened entry rules for Canadians last year, behind the scenes, whispers of intelligence disputes and security lapses push relations to the breaking point. The fallout sweeps across both nations. Parisian students heading to Montreal face a mountain of paperwork. Canadian retirees cancel long-planned wine tours through Bordeaux. French tech startups delay expansions to Toronto and Vancouver, unsure they'll get their teams across the Atlantic. Travel comes to a standstill. News outlets show footage of empty Charles de Gaulle terminals, bewildered travelers clutching canceled tickets. In both countries, the sense of disappointment and frustration is everywhere, in families, in classrooms, and in boardrooms. For business and culture, the pain is acute. Art exchanges, university conferences, and culinary festivals grind to a halt. Experts warn the French connection could take years to rebuild. Number 8. Germany. Germany, a nation of bustling cities, medieval castles, and deep-rooted business and academic ties with Canada. Every year, tens of thousands of Canadians visit Berlin's museums, Oktoberfest in Munich, and family in Hamburg. Trade, innovation, and education connect the two countries like never before. But in 2025, the landscape shifts overnight. Canada announces it will ban visa-free entry for German citizens. The official reasons: concerns over identity fraud, rising overstays, and unresolved disputes over extradition agreements. Behind closed doors, security officials point to increased cross-border surveillance risks. The consequences hit immediately. German students accepted to Canadian universities rushed to apply for visas, fearing missed deadlines. Business travelers see conference plans fall apart and investments freeze as uncertainty grows. Tourists cancel trips to the Rockies and Niagara Falls, unsure if their paperwork will clear in time. Airports in Frankfurt and Toronto show rows of empty seats and canceled flights. Visa centers fill with anxious families, stacks of paperwork, and questions without answers. News outlets report on the shockwave in EU-Canada relations, with images of deserted check-in counters and disappointed travelers. Business leaders warn of lost deals and shrinking talent exchange. University partners put research projects on hold. Even personal relationships suffer as family reunions are put off for months, maybe years. Number 7. Italy. Italy, the land of ancient ruins, sunlit piazzas, and family roots for countless Canadians. Every year, tens of thousands cross the Atlantic for Roman holidays, seaside escapes, and to reconnect with relatives in small villages from Sicily to the Alps. Culinary tours, student exchanges, and business ventures knit the countries closer together with every passing year. But in 2025, that bond unravels. Canada announces the end of visa-free travel for Italian citizens. The reasons: a surge in short-term visitors overstaying their welcome, a spike in asylum claims, and unresolved disputes over information sharing with Canadian authorities. Behind the scenes, officials point to high-profile fraud cases and growing diplomatic tension. The response is instant and emotional. Italian families preparing for weddings, graduations, or reunions in Montreal and Toronto are suddenly forced to cancel. University exchange students scramble for last-minute visa appointments, while travel agencies report a wave of refunds and disappointment. Italian airports fall quiet at the Canada gates. Canadian consulates in Rome and Milan fill with long lines and anxious faces. News reports show iconic landmarks: the Colosseum, the canals of Venice, sun-drenched Amalfi, as travelers wonder if their Canadian friends or relatives will visit again. For business, the consequences are severe. Wine exporters, tour operators, and tech startups watch deals stall and partnerships freeze. Italian-Canadian festivals scale back, unsure if special guests can make the trip. Number 6. Spain. Spain, famous for sun-drenched coasts, flamenco rhythms, and vibrant fiestas, has long been a favorite for Canadian tourists, students, and retirees. From Barcelona's modernist architecture to Seville's ancient lanes, Spanish cities pulse with Canadian voices every season. Business links, language exchanges, and family roots run deep. But in 2025, the welcome mat is pulled away. Canada announces a ban on visa-free entry for Spanish citizens. The official explanation: a sharp rise in unauthorized stays and growing concerns about security lapses in cross-border travel. In the background, officials cite unresolved extradition disputes and reciprocal visa requirements imposed by Spain on Canadian visitors. The impact is felt instantly. Students heading to Spanish universities rush to reschedule, facing months of new paperwork. Retirees who winter on the Costa del Sol cancel long-standing reservations. Families in Madrid and Montreal postpone reunions, unsure when they will meet again. Airports in Madrid and Barcelona go quiet at Canada gates, with canceled flights and empty check-in lines. Spanish travel agencies and tour companies scramble to rebook or refund disappointed clients. News anchors report live from embassies, showing lines of applicants with tense faces and thick folders of documents. For business, the chill is real. Wine exports to Canada drop. Joint ventures are put on hold. Tourism boards warn of a multi-billion-dollar setback, and politicians on both sides call for urgent talks. Number 5. Greece. Greece, land of whitewashed villages, sunlit islands, and a history that shaped the world. For Canadians, Greece is a dream of ancient ruins, seaside weddings, and long-lost family roots. Every year, tens of thousands make the journey for summer escapes, cultural adventures, or to visit relatives from Athens to Santorini. But in 2025, the journey suddenly ends. Canada announces it is ending visa-free entry for Greek citizens. The official story: a surge in unregistered visitors, concerns about border security, and diplomatic rifts over criminal extradition cases. In private, officials point to rising rates of document fraud and lingering disagreements over dual citizenship rights. The shockwaves are immediate. Greek-Canadian families put reunion plans on hold. Students preparing for semesters abroad scramble for last-minute appointments at consulates, unsure if they'll make their flights. Brides and grooms cancel destination weddings on Aegean beaches. Athens airport grows quiet at the Canada gates. Greek travel agencies close for the season, their windows full of refund notices. News bulletins flash images of empty ferry docks, canceled tour buses, and government officials calling for a diplomatic reset. Business is hit hard. Olive oil and wine shipments to Canada stall. Tourism boards warn of a sharp downturn. Greek cultural festivals in Canadian cities face cutbacks, unsure if guest artists will get their visas. Number 4. Netherlands. The Netherlands, a country of tulip fields, winding canals, and vibrant cities like Amsterdam and Rotterdam. For Canadians, it's a gateway to Europe, a center for trade, and a beloved destination for students and travelers alike. Direct flights, family ties, and centuries-old business connections keep the two nations close. But in 2025, the channel between them narrows to a trickle. Canada announces it will ban visa-free entry for Dutch citizens. The reason: increased incidents of illegal overstays and heightened security concerns at border crossings. Privately, Canadian officials cite issues with information sharing and frustrations over unresolved extradition cases. The effect is swift and far-reaching. University students eager for semesters abroad face last-minute visa scrambles. Canadian business partners in Amsterdam freeze projects, uncertain if teams can travel. Tulip festivals and cycling tours are cancelled, and direct flights between Toronto and Schiphol run nearly empty. At Schiphol Airport, check-in counters for Canada stand deserted. Dutch travelers crowd outside the Canadian Embassy in The Hague, clutching documents and return tickets. News anchors run stories on the sudden chill in Canada-Netherlands relations, while tourism agencies shutter operations for the season. Businesses see profits plunge as trade slows. Flower exporters watch crates wilt in warehouses. Tech firms and shipping companies put investments on hold, waiting for a diplomatic thaw. Number 3, Sweden. Sweden, a land of snowy forests, cutting-edge design, and some of the world's happiest cities. From Stockholm's shimmering archipelago to the innovation hubs of Gothenburg and Malmö, Swedes and Canadians have long shared student exchanges, scientific partnerships, and a love of travel. Flights cross the Atlantic every week, connecting family, friends, and businesses. But in 2025, that bridge is suddenly raised. Canada declares an end to visa-free entry for Swedish citizens. The public reasons: rising numbers of overstays, new EU travel policies complicating border security, and stalled cooperation on law enforcement data. Behind the scenes, frustration simmers over delays in extradition and unresolved cybersecurity disputes. The effects are immediate. Swedish graduate students face anxious weeks reapplying for study permits. Canadian tech firms in Stockholm suspend new projects, and tourism companies in both countries brace for a wave of cancellations. Hockey camps and university programs go half empty. Arlanda Airport's Canada desk is quiet, departure boards flashing canceled. The Canadian Embassy in Stockholm is packed with applicants holding thick folders of paperwork, parents comforting disappointed children, news channels loop footage of empty check-in lines, and interviews with frustrated travelers. Businesses on both sides of the Atlantic count the costs. Swedish fashion and furniture brands lose direct market access. Canadian timber and mining firms put deals on hold. Innovators and researchers warn of missed opportunities as joint projects go dark. Number 2. Poland. Poland, the heart of Central Europe, a land of vibrant cities, resilient people, and strong ties to Canada through decades of immigration and family connections. Every year, thousands travel between Warsaw and Toronto for family reunions, business opportunities, and cultural celebrations. Polish-Canadian festivals, student exchanges, and church gatherings fill calendars in both countries. But in 2025, a wall goes up. Canada ends visa-free entry for Polish citizens. Official statements point to rising overstays, increased asylum claims, and concerns about irregular migration flows from Eastern Europe. Privately, Canadian officials cite growing tensions over intelligence sharing and delays in honoring extradition agreements. The effect is profound and immediate. Families cancel long-awaited visits. Students preparing to attend Canadian universities find themselves caught in a maze of paperwork. Business delegations postpone trips, and travel agencies scramble to help frustrated clients. Warsaw Chopin Airport's Canada check-in sits empty, flights canceled, and staff fielding questions they can't answer. The Canadian Embassy sees long lines, parents and grandparents waiting with folders of documents, anxious to keep family ties alive. News channels broadcast images of closed counters and disappointed travelers. Economic ties feel the strain. Canadian companies with operations in Poland freeze new projects. Polish food producers and manufacturers lose access to direct markets. Festivals in Toronto and Montreal scale back, unsure if special guests or artists can get visas in time. Number 1. Portugal. Portugal, a country of golden beaches, historic cities, and warm connections to Canada that stretch back generations. Every year, thousands of Canadians visit Lisbon's winding alleys, the vineyards of the Douro, or reconnect with family roots in small seaside towns. Portuguese-Canadian communities thrive in Toronto, Montreal, and beyond, bound by shared tradition and regular travel. But in 2025, the tides turn. Canada abruptly ends visa-free entry for Portuguese citizens. The public explanation? A recent surge in unauthorized stays and ongoing concerns about border security. Behind closed doors, officials point to diplomatic standoffs over legal cooperation, asylum requests, and information sharing. The consequences are swift and deeply felt. Families in both countries are forced to postpone weddings, baptisms, and long-planned reunions. Students set to begin studies in Canadian universities face daunting visa backlogs. Retirees hoping to spend summers by the Atlantic coast cancel flights and pack away dreams. At Lisbon Airport, the Canada check-in stands deserted. Flights canceled, travelers seeking answers. Outside the Canadian Embassy, lines grow longer by the day. People clutching folders of documents, worried they will miss life's milestones. Businesses struggle. Wine and seafood exporters face lost sales as shipments are delayed or canceled. Tourism operators brace for a sharp downturn. News bulletins fill with images of empty restaurants, lonely beaches, and frustrated travelers staring at blank ticket screens.